If you're up a goal, you're down a goal, it's overtime, it's regulation. There are some coaches who get emotional and some who don't. Do you keep yours in check simply because your younger players are going to feed off that one way or another?
These questions get tougher, right? The deeper you go. For me, I guess my belief is I've grown as a coach, and this is from high school all the way up. I think a team, I don't say they take on the personality of the coach, but if I think their emotions, the way they act, I think there's a little bit of a correlation. So I try and keep my emotions down, or inside they're everything's churning inside. There's no question, but outwardly, I feel if I was storming up and down the bench and getting excited and saying things, talking to the refs, all those different things that happen in a game, I think your team may end up doing it. And I don't want that to happen. We try and stay as focused as we can. I try and stay as focused as we can. But I've never been one of those guys that runs up and down the bench. It's just my personality, I guess.
Just the case of being young and naive, or by design that your team all playoffs long just hasn't seemed phased by big moment and big pressure games.
I don't know if those are the right words to use. I think we've just, these guys have a burning desire to win the game. And we've grown together in 2 years. This team just hasn't just come together. It's been a 2-year process. I think our battle-tested moments have come in the playoffs, though. And it's, I look at trigger moments, maybe Game 4 in Detroit, where we're kind of, it's 5 minutes to go, we're down by 2, and we pull that game out. And when you start doing those things, it's that snowball effect. And now we've reached a point where we think we can win every single game. Doesn't matter who goes out there. And that's slowly built through the playoffs. So I think that's where that comes from. I can't sit here and say naive's the word, but they're a really, really confident group in there.
Coop, maybe coming into the final, maybe some questions about the depth of the forwards, Hawks versus Lightning. Do you think I'll call them bottom guys, have outplayed the Hawks lower line so far? And if so, why? Or why have they been so successful?
Well, it depends, I guess, what you say is outplayed. If we're going statistically based, our guys have had a pretty good, couple games here in the finals. I can't sit here and say if they've outplayed them. We're more worried about our guys than them. It's two pretty well-balanced teams that are very comparable to each other. I guess, trying to answer your question, if we want to have any chance of hoisting the Stanley Cup, we need more guys to score than just Johnny's line and Phil's line. And they are providing that. And not only are they providing that, they're being a little bit of a pain in the butt against, on the defensive side of things for against Chicago. So the more we get out of them, the better off we are. And but I can't sit here and compare them to the other team.
John, over here. A little more on the lighter side. You kind of enjoying the hospitality in Chicago. Barkley apparently buying one dinner, and then Vince Vaughn, your good buddy last night.
No. They're all just random. We've added a little tradition. We've gone out for a staff, and whether other people in the restaurant that we see, it's those are just random meetings. But we go out we've gone out as a staff together in every single series, and I don't know, maybe just there's a little more notoriety because we're in the finals, but it's those are just all staff dinners.
The other night, Paquette said after the game that he thought midway through the game you basically abandoned worrying about the line matchups. Is that the case? And
I wouldn't say abandon. I just think you can get away with, depending on how your team's playing. We were playing, first period was a little dicey, that last 12 minutes probably, when we sneak out of that with the tie. But that second period got going, we were rolling. And so when your team is rolling, you don't want to disrupt the apple cart. Things were going well. So I wouldn't sit here and say I abandoned it, but every line was clicking, and it didn't matter which line they were going against. Everybody was working. And then if you noticed, they started putting different lines out. There was no more line matching going on in the game because, they switched their lines. So it didn't, can't sit here and believe me, I'm the last one to sit here and overthink the game. Boys are rolling, you just let them go, and that's what happened, I thought, in periods 2 and 3.
Two quick ones. Any change in Ben Bishop's status vis-a-vis being able to go tonight in Game 4?
I think we're in the same holding pattern as we were 48 hours ago.
And given that if he holds in the same pattern, then are you looking at the same lineup as Game 3?
7:20 puck drop. You'll get to see then.
Right next to him there.
John, did Andre Palat show up as a responsible two-way player, or was there a process to get him to where he is right now?
I would say of all the players that I've watched develop that are on this team now over the years, he's probably he's the one you've had to worry about the least. It's just his whole game is played properly. I always think you watch, put in a video on him, and he could make an instructional. I'm screwing this up. Put a camera on him, and he could make a instructional video on how to play the game by following Palat. Not always flashy. He's not going to show up on the score sheet near as often as a lot of other guys will. But those other guys will tell you they want him on their line. And has there been ups and downs for him? Sure, because you have to figure out the league. You have to figure out there's a lot more to it than just playing the game. You guys study who they're on the ice against, what are players' tendencies, how much time and space you have. You can't do that until you're in the game. So is there a growing process there for him? For sure. But he gets it a little quicker than a lot of other guys.
John, you mentioned early in the playoffs that Joel was one of the coaches that you looked up to or reached out to early in your career, like Babcock as well. What did you learn from him in those moments and that maybe you still apply to as a coach today?
Oh, gosh. I don't know if I'm going to sit here and pick one singular moment, but it's just learning. First of all, it's like learning the NHL and what it's about. This, for instance, you lean on guys like that of how to deal with different situations. I don't think Joel and I have ever sat down and talked X's and O's or anything like that, but it's more the life, different situations, and teams he's coached, and but you learn from guys like that, guys that have won in this league and have had longevity and had success. I'd be remiss if I didn't try and pick those guys' brains.
John, getting back to Palat, he said early in the series that you taught him how to play big boy hockey, and just wondering what that exactly what that means and how you go about teaching someone how to play big boy hockey.
Well, we joke about that a little bit, and we call the NHL it's big boy hockey now, and everybody's out there competing so hard. They're bigger, stronger, faster. Their jobs are on the line. Everybody, the second you get to this league, somebody else is coming right behind you to take your spot. And with some of these players that they're going up against, I guess that's the term, big boy. And you can use it two different ways, but you want to stay in the league, you got to be a man. And that's kind of what it means. And Palat's definitely taken that to heart.
Obviously, hockey's a bit unique in having one timeout. I'm curious if you have a specific strategy or what makes a good timeout for you versus one you maybe would regret.
It's funny how the timeout has evolved, because what was the timeout was probably never instituted to become something used to rest players, but that's really how it's kind of evolved. I think the timeout was initially put in for the last 2 minutes of a game. and that's how it was supposed to be used. Well, now it's used for completely different reasons, or basically that's why I use it. Sometimes it's used to stop the momentum of the game. So it's really evolved in why it was put in and what it's come into today. And now you hear, I don't know, the rumors of coaches' challenges and those different things, and you're going to have to burn your time out. And I think that's a way the league's probably trying to take it out of your hands a little bit to say, well, players have been caught out in a long shift and there's an icing. I'm sure people don't want the players to get the rest. They want to see what happens after that. And the timeout now that affords you to give the players that break. And so I mean, that's kind of what evolved. I don't know if I answered your question or not, but that's how I use it.